You'll put a Kenyan, all of us are Kenyans, all of us are Africans. You put a Kikuyu here, a Luo here, a Luya, a Kalenjin, and then you ask them to speak in English, they'll speak in different accents when they are pronouncing their words in English. They are all Kenyans, but we have different accents. So that's why we as Africans, we're always like, when we watch Hollywood movies and we're like, wait a minute, is that an African accent they are saying? Like, Hollywood has given us an accent. Like, we have one general accent as Africans, and everyone who comes to Africa thinks that we speak like that. Yeah. Missing someone. Hello my loves, good morning, how you doing? So I'm still wearing the same outfits. I'm shooting 2 videos on the same day. So if you've watched my Vlogmas day 1 video, you know I'm wearing the same outfits, right? Right. Now today we're going to talk about childhood myths. What you believed was happening versus what's really happening. Number 1, please raise your hands, Kenyans. Raise your hands if you thought that Boxing Day was a day where people boxed. The welding guys have started. I hope you cannot hear them. If you thought that Boxing Day was a day that people were boxing, raise your hand, Kenyans, if that is what you thought. Because even our media did not make it easier for us. They used to bring boxing movies. I remember the movies, my all-time favorite and the only movie I used to watch during Boxing Day, 26th of December, because that is the only movie they used to bring in KBC, was the best of the best 2. They were in a ring boxing. And that day, Kenyans believed that, at least where I grew up, the side that I grew up in, they believed that Boxing Day was a day for people boxing. That is the day people settled their scores, they fought. Yani ati Boxing Day, like, wow. And then only to grow up and realize that Boxing Day was the day people opened the presents, the boxes of presents they received on Christmas Day. My Christmas present was whatever I wore that day, whatever dress my mother bought me for Christmas, and whatever food I ate that day. That was enough Christmas present. I was grateful and I was happy. I didn't even know that happened. Like, honestly, I didn't know that Boxing Day was like that until I grew up. Don't lie to me in the comment section. Just tell me. Just tell me. What did you know that Boxing Day was the day that people were opening the boxes, the gifts that were given on Christmas Day? Okay, another thing again. Raise your hands if you watch Mexican soap operas, and thought that they were actually speaking in English, only to grow up and find out that they spoke in Spanish. But other people, there was like a voiceover of the way they were speaking. People who lip sang to whatever the way their lips were moving in English. Raise your hand if you thought they were actually speaking English, only to grow up and find out it wasn't them that was speaking. It was somebody else. Raise your hand. Another thing. Raise your hand if up to now you still believe that if you hear someone is Spanish or Latina or Latino, Kenyans, raise your hands if you believe that they only come from Mexico. Raise your hand if you believe that they only come from Mexico. Because even me, I didn't know that. Only to go up and find out, listen, we have Cuba, we have Puerto Rico, we have Spain, we have Mexico, we have Venezuela. All Latina people don't come from Mexico. And it's not only in Mexico that they speak Spanish. They're in all these other countries too. Raise your hand if you thought, even up to now. Raise your hand and let me know. And then another thing, raise your hand if you actually thought that wrestling was real, that these people were fighting for real and finishing each other on that wrestling. I was so invested or so vested, whichever the English is, in Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, that I thought every time they thought they were really hurting each other. No, it is just entertainment, apparently. Wow, they really fooled us. They played with our emotions. The same way I grew up thinking that movies were like real. These people died in movies, they died for real, and I would cry. Most of my friends would cry too, because now the person that you loved has died and you'll never get to see them ever again, only to watch another movie and see them resurface, and you're wondering, wait a minute, I thought they died. And then you'd convince yourself maybe that they were in that movie before they died in that other movie, and then in this movie they also died. They used to confuse us as children. It's not fair. It is not fair what they used to do to us. Another thing, raise your hand if you thought that everyone had long hair in movies. Everyone had long, silky hair in movies. Raise your hand if you thought that that was their real hair. Only to grow up and find out there's this thing we called wigs and weaves, and we have experts who install them so well that we think it's their hair. And they have these parts where they add weaves in their tracks, uko ndani, like this. And then when they comb their hair is long up to here, and you're like, I wish I'd have such long hair. Only to grow up and find out that you can actually have that long hair if you purchase yourself, or if you go buy yourself a wig or a weave and get an expert rather, to install it so well that no one can tell. Another thing, Kenyans, raise your hand if you grew up thinking that anyone that went to the coast was going to Mombasa, the coastal part of Kenya. Anyone that went there, oh, naenda Voi, oh, unaenda Mombasa, utafika Mombasa, unaenda Mombasa, niletee mabuyu, niletee maembe. I'm going to Taita. Unaenda Mombasa, niletee mabuyu, niletee maembe. I'm going to Lamu. Oh, unaenda Mombasa, niletee mabuyu, niletee maembe. Raise your hand if you thought everyone that goes to coastal part of Kenya goes to Mombasa. Raise your hand if you thought that. Another thing, Kenyans, raise your hand if you thought that everyone that is from Nyanza goes to Kisumu. Because me growing up, I'd be like, hey, ndio mmetoka Kisumu, we'll go to the village and come back. Or when we were going to the village, and mnaenda Kisumu, I'm like, wait, we're not going to Kisumu. Our village is not in Kisumu. But everyone assumes that every Luo comes from Kisumu. Raise your hand if you thought that every Luo comes from Kisumu, and that there are no other places that they come from apart from Kisumu. Raise your hand, Kenyans, if you thought that. I can see you, all of you that thought that all those come from Kisumu, and all of you that thought that everyone that comes from the coast comes from Mombasa. I see you, all of you, all of you. It is a lie. It is a lie. We do not all come from Kisumu. We come from different places. Homa Bay, Kindu Bay, there's Kisumu, there's Yala, there's Muhoroni, there's Ahero, there's a lot of places. There's Alego, there's Ugenya, a whole lot of places. Okay? Okay. Another thing, let me check if I've talked about everything. Yeah. For the world out there, raise your hand if you thought African is a country. Raise your hand if you thought that African is a country. We speak only one language. We live in the bush. We don't have houses. Lions escort us to work and bring us back home. Monkeys take us to school and bring us back home. We don't have water. We don't have phones. We don't have anything. Basically, Africa is just a big jungle with people who wear skin only and walk around. Only for you to come to Africa and know that you did not just come to Africa. You came to Nigeria maybe. You've come to Kenya, you've come to Tanzania, you've come to Uganda, you've come to Rwanda, you've come to Burundi, you've come to South Africa, you've not come to Africa. Africa is not a country, it's a continent with different countries, different cultures, different tribes, different languages. We have over 1,000 languages in Africa. Did you know that? We don't speak only one certain way. We speak different languages, and our accents most of the time are affected by our mother tongue because we are multilingual. We speak more than one language. For example, I, Vivian, I speak English, Swahili, and my mother tongue, Luo. I speak 3 languages. So if I grew up in the village, if you've been to Kenya, there's a way Luos speak. They have an accent. So if I grew up in the village, I'll have that accent. But now I grew up in the city. Yes, I don't have that accent fully, but I do have that Luo accent in me. There are words that I'll say and you'll be like, oh, 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 she's Luo. There's a way I'll say some things because I'm Luo. There's a way I just say some things and you know I'm Luo. And then there's Kikuyu. They speak differently too. You'll put a Kenyan, all of us are Kenyans, all of us are Africans. You put a Kikuyu here, a Luo here, a Luya, a Kalenjin, and then you ask them to speak in English, they'll speak in different accents when they are pronouncing their words in English. They are all Kenyans, but we have different accents. So that's why we as Africans, we're always like, when we watch Hollywood movies and we're like, wait a minute, is that an African accent they're saying? Like, Hollywood has given us an accent. Like, we have one general accent as Africans, and everyone who comes to Africa thinks that we speak like that. Why? Raise your hand, world, if you thought that. Yeah, I can see all of you. All of you. Yeah. Yeah. I do not have a lion in the house, if you're wondering. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Click on that notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Bye bye. The wedding guys will not let me rest. See you on day 3 of Vlogmas.